Welcome back, Truth Seeker. They're saying it's the worst earthquake in Morocco in 120 years. A lot of people dead, a lot of old structures destroyed, old history, old temples. And this reportedly happened late Friday, September 8th, 2023, at 11 p.m. local time, at the 11th hour. And it also happened as world leaders were gathering in New Delhi for the G20 Global Summit, where world leaders come together and talk about supposedly how they can help resolve problems. So one just presented itself in Morocco as they're touching down. And if you're new here, what we look at is this just Mother Nature or is this military? And everyone should be asking that question because we live in a world where there are very sophisticated and technologically advanced weapons that have been tested for the purposes of triggering earthquakes and what they can do to influence weather. Again, the US government alone tested these types of weapons for over 50 years. These kind of experiments. And notice, Morocco, it's an old place, but as a nation as it is now, its Independence Day is April 7th, 56, 13 years after Casablanca came out in 43, the same year nuclear energy development began. But notice, April 7th, 56 is Independence Day. From Independence Day to the earthquake at the 11th hour of September 8th. And let's also pay mind that we're talking about a calendar, September 8th, that comes from the Catholic Church, who had the Crusades against mostly Muslim people. And here we are in a 99% Muslim country on September 8th, which is the Virgin Mary's birthday, a very special day celebrated by the Catholic Church. So you have this very Catholic day that this act of devastation happens in Morocco, but again, 154 days after Independence Day, and also on the 251st day of the year. And in Gematria, ritual sacrifice equals 154 when you run the alphabetic order forwards, 251 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. 154 days after Independence Day on the 251st day of the year. And if you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, ritual sacrifice is 107. Morocco is also 107. So is earthquake. So is military. And if you've read my first book, and even if you hadn't read that book and you'd watch my videos even before I put that book out, something I'd talked about many a times was the 1989 World Series earthquake, where the last thing shown on TV was Jose Canseco. And it was exactly 107 days after Jose Canseco's birthday that the World Series earthquake happened. He was the last thing shown on TV, and that was easy to do because they were showing pre-recorded footage before the game began. The earthquake happened right before the game began. Bay Area World Series, Oakland versus San Francisco, and all of a sudden things start shaking. But anyhow, that earthquake was 107 days after Jose Canseco's birthday, and his full name's 107, like earthquake, like military, like how a lot of these athletes are born and bred to be because there's something else taking place in this world other than what we're being told. Like, think about the common man's knowledge about Morocco today. All it was Mother Nature, a bad earthquake. That's the common man's story. That's all they know. That's what they were told by the authorities. They'll move on until the next one happens. And notice how we go from Maui to Marrakesh, Morocco. A lot of M's. M, the 13th letter. Hawaii burns up 13 days before its anniversary of statehood. There's numbers that are special to certain orders, and that's why there's so many rituals with these numbers. Just like how Hawaii was once overthrown by America by something called the Committee of 13. But coming back to Morocco, and what looks like, again, a military activity blamed on Mother Nature. And I wouldn't be surprised if there ends up being a bullet point at the G20 summit today to talk about this. Again, this is where the world leaders come together to solve, big problems. And there's a big agenda to replace the old ways of doing things and bring in the new. And that's kind of the story here, that a lot of the old world crumbled today in this part of the world. Some history was lost. Okay, other things standing out about this. Again, 11 p.m. local time. They say that's 2200 GMT time, like international time. 2200. Now, the master numbers are 11 and 22. And what we're showing is how master plans are being executed, and the people of the world are constantly being lied to and duped into these agendas. Like September 11th, on the 11th day of the month, the big buildings that look like an 11 came crumbling down in the 11th state after supposedly Flight AA11 kicked it all off. Numbers. But 2200 GMT, we just talked about how it was 154 days after the independence anniversary. 154 days is exactly 22 weeks. So 22 weeks later, again, 11 and 22. Marrakesh, Morocco has gematria of 79, which is the 22nd prime number. We talked about that number with what happened in Philadelphia, or the biblical Philadelphia, earlier this year. Turkey, the Turkey quake on February 6th. 79 was a big number in that. It goes with the biblical Philadelphia and the synagogue of Satan. But, yeah, the Jesuit hallmarks are here. Their independence days from the year 56. Again, if you're new here, let me pull up the Gematria calculator. Again, if you're new here, just stick around and watch a few more videos for a few more days. You'll watch how I'm talking about the same things every single day. I mean, I was just making a big point about this yesterday, like I've made a million other times. But 5679, huge numbers with the Jesuits. This nation got its independence in 56, and now the town that equals 79 gets rocked. And remember, the Society of Jesus are the modern-day Templars. Knights Templar has the 79, like Society of Jesus, 65, where Society of Jesus is 56. And by the way, this ritual, it came 65 days before the Superior General's upcoming birthday. That's the leader of the Jesuits. Jesuits have the Templar cross in their logo. They're the new military order of the Catholic Church. The Templars are the old. And just for the record, when we performed the Crusades on the Middle East after 9/11, we invaded Afghanistan on October 7th, 10/7, 107. Talking about 107 today with the military and the earthquake and the Morocco. Again, if you're new here, all of these ciphers matter. Gematria is the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. Earthquake's also 163, the 38th prime number. This earthquake happens 38 weeks into the Pope's age, when the calendar we're on is named after the Pope, thus the 52-week year for the Pope. But anyway, you got the Jesuit fingerprints here, synced up with the Superior General, about 65 days before the Superior General's birthday. See how Philadelphia is 65? Again, the Turkey earthquake that happened earlier this year was another one of these rituals, and we did several videos on it. From that earthquake in Turkey to this earthquake in Morocco, it's a span of 215 days, 215, and that's the area code in Philadelphia in the United States of America. And again, it's the United States of America that is credited, at least in the history books, with the development of this kind of energy and weaponry that has this kind of capability. And again, we're talking about stuff that was known about in the 40s, right? Now we're in 2023. How much more advanced do you think the weaponry and technologies become? And again, I get annoyed with the people who always leave comments like, they watch a video like this and their only comment is, there's no such thing as nuclear weapons. It's like, okay, but maybe there's not. Maybe that is some big fear and deception, but these people obviously have sophisticated weaponry. Again, I can go back to the example of the Washington earthquake in 2001, synced up with Hanford, where nuclear energy was developed right before the World Trade Centers turned to dust in Manhattan, the name of the project that developed the energy. Anyway, I got to live through that earthquake in 2001. I got to feel how weird that was. But here's the point I really want to make just about this New World Order, this Jesuit New World Order. And again, you just start to follow the number patterns. Like I have the license plate behind me that says, what is 47? Numbers that we teach about all the time. 47 and 74, so important to the Cabal. This nation, the U.S., its birthday is July 4th, 7-4. This nation, Morocco, its birthday is April 7th. This earthquake came 47 days from the leader of Morocco's anniversary of becoming leader, July 23rd. And 47. Again, just very, very special number. It's related to rituals and time. It's a lot to explain. But the point I'm making is it's not an accident that the U.S. and Morocco have such similar birthdays either in light of this overall ritual. These are nations that are controlled by this cabal. And supposedly they got free, right? On April 7th April 7th in the year 56. Reminds you of our Independence Day and 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. But you see how Independence Day has that 74 when you take the alphabetic order with numerology? It's also 277, which is the 59th prime, and again, this nation was established 59 years after modern Freemasonry in 1717, and where Freemasonry is 59, Masons 17, and modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. But anyway, Independence Day is 74. April 7th can be written 7/4, just like July 4th can be written 7/4. And supposedly these nations got free on that day, right? And free is 74. And again, English is 74, and Gematria is 74, and English is the language taught worldwide at this day and age, more so than any other language in terms of its international learning and teaching appeal. And again, English and Gematria are both 74, like occult, like energy, very special number 74. The word holiday, as in holy day, is 74. But again, the 16th century, the Jesuits created. Since the 16th century, in their creation, we've seen at the same historical period the calendar rollout named after the Pope. English standardizes a 26-letter alphabet, the agreed-to heliocentric model, and again, just all of these rituals in time. History has unfolded this way since that time period. And again, all throughout history, it's synced up with the Pope and Superior General, just like today. And where I said it was 60, you know what? This is how perfect it is. Philadelphia. Again, Philadelphia is a church in Revelation. And they get the letter about the synagogue of Satan. But you see how Philadelphia is 101, 65, 223? All these things? 101, 65, 223. The earthquake was 65 days from the Superior General's birthday on November 12th. Here, I'll just put this up here so you can see this. Arturo Sosa, if you want to look him up, his birthday is November 12th. He's 74 years old right now. He'll turn 75 later this year. But again, the earthquake was late September 8th. So 65 days before his birthday, right? Now, the Pope's birthday is December 17th, born on the first day of Saturnalia. So it's 100 days before his birthday, but if you count the span, it's 101, which is also fair. Because you have to say, what are the odds of that? 65 days before the Superior Generals, 101 days from the Pope. Again, we talked about this at the beginning of the year, how important Philadelphia would be this year because it's 2023 on their calendar, very similar to 223. Philadelphia's 223, like the synagogue of Satan. You know, Eagles in a rare Super Bowl this year to start the year after a really good year of Philadelphia sports in the lead up to, which was the year 22, and there's 22 chapters in Revelation where the Church of Philadelphia is mentioned. And again, the letters written to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan, which is also 223, and then natural disasters 223. And we made this very point at the beginning of the year with the big earthquake in Turkey, which is biblical Philadelphia. Natural disasters also got that 56. And, we just talked about what happened in Maui, synced up with Moana, the 56th Disney film, and the 56th tech conference they had at the beginning of the year. It's the big tech takeover. But okay, again, just establishing the point of gematria. Alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. And again, Philadelphia is a Christian church in the Bible. You see how Philadelphia is 101 and 61. Look at the word Christian. 101, 61, also 47. Today, 47 days from the leader of the nation's birthday in Morocco. And again, synced up with the Turkey earthquake that paid all kinds of tribute to Philadelphia. Again, Revelation 3:7. 3:7, where the letter to the Church of Philadelphia begins. The Turkey earthquake was on the 37th day of the year. And now, again, Philadelphia in the U.S., 215 area code. From that earthquake to this one, spanned 215 days. But again, Christians got the overlap with Philadelphia. Look at church. Church, 61-101 as well, just like Philadelphia. And then coming back to Philadelphia, 65. Notice how the word Christianity, 65. Philadelphia's birthday as a city is October 27th, the day leaving 65 days left in the year. You know, the other thing that's interesting, I suppose, I talked about how this happened 154 days after Independence Day. You could also say it happened on the 155th day of the state's or the nation's age. 154 days after Independence Day, because again, Independence Day is April 7th. So let's make sense of this for the person who's confused. April 7th to the earthquake on September 8th, it'll be 154 days later, like where we began. But if you count the span, it becomes the 155th day, which again is Christianity. And what's the point we're making? 99% Muslim nation on the Virgin Mary's birthday. When we know the Jesuits, this military order, again, they're behind all kinds of devious stuff that's blamed on Mother Nature. Again, the first act of weather warfare is admitted to on their birthday, August 15th, 1952. The big joke they just had on their birthday the other year in Afghanistan after we did the new crusades there and brought back the opioid crisis. Again, I'm going to go back to that point. Remember, 9/11 happened in the time of the 107th mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and it happened on his 107th day of his age. And then we attacked the Middle East on 10/7, the day leaving 85 days left in the year, where Templars 85. And then you had Bush as president, who's a member of Skull and Bones, who gets their symbolism from how the Templars bury their dead. And he refers to it as a crusade. So I'm making the same point. With the same types of people in power, the same secret societies, the same gangs that we know are playing these games. You think I'm tripping today showing this with the latest biblical ritual? And again, how it's connected to the last huge earthquake over in that more Muslim part of the world? I'm sorry. Only my critics are tripping. Not smart enough to comprehend what I'm laying down. And again, it took a decade to understand it as well as we do. We've been doing this. I've been doing this every day. I say we because we're a community, but it's been me who's been doing this every single day since August 2013. It's a lot of time put on to prove the point. And I already understood this was going on back then. I understood this was going on before I even knew Gematria. It was just obvious to me. All you had to do was look at history. Okay, our nation tested big bombs way up in the sky and underground for all these different military strategic purposes. It's been talked about by all kinds of military leaders in the past that if you could harness Mother Nature, how it would be the ultimate weapon. You don't think they figured it out in our technologically advanced world as they keep pulling this shit off by the same code over and over? They've been doing it since I was a little kid. I was 6 years old when the 1989 World Series earthquake happened in the massive 107 ritual. And how many times have I talked about earthquakes in 107? A lot. A lot. Here, again, I want you to get the point about this crusade thing really hammered in. Marrakesh, Morocco, where it happened, 79, right? You see how it's 79 and 92? That's actually just like the Synagogue of Satan, for the record, biblical. But the 79, because again, Knights Templar is 79, Society of Jesus is 79, Christianity is 79. And if you want to take it further, if you want to get mathematical, which is also part of this Kabbalistic thing, again, this Kabbalistic study of letters and numbers, prime numbers are part of it. I didn't invent any of this, I learned about it. 79 is the 22nd prime. At 2200 hours, 22 weeks after independence on the nose. Come on. Biblical, right? 22 chapters in Revelation. Master plans, master numbers, using the Bible like a playbook. Same thing I've been on about the whole time. I came with the same theory from the beginning. It's just we understand it way better. So, again, Genesis 11:9, where the Tower of Babel ends. 119, like the date of September 11th. The Tower of Babel, the tower that divides the world. Okay, now let's really make this point about their Independence Day, which can be written 7-4, ours that can be written 7-4, them being the victims of this earthquake blamed on Mother Nature. Okay, we're just going to go down to the most simple cipher, just the alphabetic order, where you just need one cipher here to make the point. So I'm going to take you back to holiday, 7/4/2019, Southern California. And other states, they said it was felt across multiple states. Massive earthquake in Southern California on July 4th. And what did they say? They said that the epicenter was on a military base, the China Lake military base. Funny enough, that earthquake was 201 days before the first case of COVID in the U.S. from China. And it reminds that the Event 201 coronavirus pandemic simulation was October 18th, 2019, the day leaving 74 days left in the year, 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China. And Event 201 was on the same day that the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China. And the Military World Games began in Italy, where the Vatican is. And the Military World Games are credited to the Jesuits. That's why it began in 95, like their original missions to counter the 95 Theses. And shout out to Golden ID Codes. I can't believe it took this long, as long as he's been studying 201 for his observation that he just had the other day. And I'm like, how did I not see that one? It's a reminder, you guys, there are some low-hanging 201s out there that are just massive that are still yet to be picked up. You don't need to be reaching. The 201 that he noticed is from the day that Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses to the day the Jesuits were created is 201 months and a few days later. 201 months. Just like how Joe Biden was in, here, I'm going to come back to 74, but again, you guys, Joe Biden 64, Joe Biden in Hawaii for the 64th birthday of the state, and Hawaii became a state 201 months and a day after Joe Biden was born. He was 17 years old, like Maui's 17. Anyway, let's come back to 74 and the earthquake on 7/4, and now this nation getting rocked by an earthquake, set up with its Independence Day, which is also a 7/4 date, the 7th day of the 4th month. Remember, the word energy is 74, and the word weapon is 74, and nuclear is 74. And we just talked about that little pimply face guy right out of college who's writing all the articles for AP, debunking all the Maui conspiracy theories because it's just an act of Mother Nature, and it's just bad timing and hot weather and strong winds from Dora. And then we decode the little pimply face guy that they got right in these articles that there's no conspiracy in Maui. And what's his name equal in Gematria? 74. And he's writing specific articles about how no weapons were used to set the fire in Maui. And you just see why AP picked him. They're like, this is the right little know-nothing out of college. He'll just do whatever we tell him to get his paycheck. He's just so happy to have a job here at AP. But, yeah, again, that's the power of Gematria. You can just laugh at just how sinister and how wicked these people are with these rituals and how repetitive it is. For the record, if you run the alphabetic order in reverse, if I say think of a nuclear test, the one you think of in history is the Trinity test. Trinity is also 74. And you see how nuclear and Trinity are both 115 both ways? I want you to see something about the day this earthquake happened in light of 115. So September 8th through the last day of the year, you count all those days, those are the last 115 days left in the year. Now, if you look at September 8th as like it's written on a date calculator, it'll tell you the 251st day of the year, leaving 114 days remaining. That is true. There are 114 days after September 8th. But if you say, what are the last 115 days of the year? September 8th is where it begins. Those are the last 115 days. So what I'm saying is, again, what are the odds of this stuff? Trinity, nuclear, right? And the word killing is also that, and they're saying a lot of people were killed. And hey, man, you can't blame it on the globalists who've been talking about how necessary population control is, because this was Mother Nature. That's all this was. This was just Mother Nature, you know? And if you guys want to rewind to, predictions in 2022, go back and watch my coverage of Russia-Ukraine through February. By the way, we called what day Russia-Ukraine would break out before it happened, understanding this. On the day in history that the Gregorian calendar rolled out, February 24th. Huge ritual. But we were talking a lot about nuclear energy because they're so focused on the nuclear scare that could happen in Russia-Ukraine. And I noticed in my research, I said, look at that. I said nuclear energy development, the Hanford site went into production March 9th, 43. And I said, isn't that interesting? Because March 9th is the 68th day of the year. Nuclear energy equals 68, like nuclear weapon equals 68. Of course, in this earthquake, they're saying it was a 6.8 magnitude. 6.8, right? They said it was shallow. And again, look it up in history. March 9th, 43, nuclear energy Hanford site. That site goes into development where they're going to develop nuclear energy for the first time. So 1968, of course, is an infamous year. It's full of assassinations. It's the year fentanyl was approved. It's the year coronavirus was coined. It's the year 911 became the national emergency dialing code. It's the year World Trade Center construction began. So many things in 68. And Again, I mean, you look at the things from 1968, you think 21st century, 9/11, that's a huge event. Fentanyl, that's a huge thing in the 21st century. Coronavirus, that's a huge thing in the 21st century. All of these things went into motion in 68. And as I'm teaching about every day, it's more than a number. Catholicism, 68. Mathematics is 68. Solar system, 68. The word Helios has the 68. Helios is the sun. The Catholic Church is the sun god. They got all these things. They got this whole thing synced up on their calendar, which is all based on, the movement of everything around the sun. There's a reason the same numbers show up over and over. You watch my channel for a month, you won't even be able to count. You don't have enough fingers and toes and nowhere near to count how many times I'll talk about 68 in a month and 74 in a month and just the same stuff. Earthquakes come up again and again. Exact same patterns. And the only number I normally talk about with earthquakes that I didn't hear today so far, you see how earthquakes 44? Look at what New Delhi is, where everyone was touching down for the G20 as this tips off. Today's the first official day of G20. September 9th, the day in history that the United States of America was named in 1776. And also it's California's birthday, which is a state that's, known for earthquakes. And we were talking about that 65. It's also got that connection. But hey, about New Delhi, we just made the point with 44 an earthquake. You see the 37? Look at Morocco. Morocco's also 37. So they're in New Delhi. There to solve all the world's problems. Uh-oh, Morocco has a big problem from an earthquake. Here, I want to show you one other thing. Here, just coming back to the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order. Again, this 74. We were talking about how nuclear 74, energy 74, weapons 74, all these things, right? Occult, Masonic, holiday. The word killing is 74. Killing, 74. Just like stabbing, 74. Just like how the Ides of March. The Ides of March in a non-leap year, to remember the killing of Caesar, is March 15th, the 74th day of the year. And, next year in a leap year, something that's interesting about the Ides of March next year, it's a leap year, so it's the 75th day of the year. And remember, here in the U.S., they've moved the 75th Emmys from this year to next year on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So the 75th Emmys on MLK's birthday, who's the only American with a holiday named after, born American, that is, with a holiday named after him. And again, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 68, on the 95th day of the leap year, mind you, when the 95 Theses was written by Martin Luther against the Catholic Church. But, next year, the Ides of March is on the 75th day of the year. I'm just thinking about the Martin thing. Martin Lawrence's age next year. All this division over what happened in the 59th election. Martin Lawrence turning 59 up in Detroit, where Motown. Anyway, side topic, but the Ides of March looks really interesting next year. In light of what the date's about. The killing of Caesar in 44 BC. MLK killed on 4/4. Trump with his fourth indictment in the fourth state, Georgia. MLK state. Anyway, New World Order. You follow their numbers. They got plots and schemes planned for us all throughout the year, all across the world, keeping our minds full of fear and division and scary stuff. And we're allowing them to play this game because we're not seeing who's playing us for fools. That's what this channel's about, trying to get people to wake up to who runs the world. The same Catholic Church that was hell-bent on dominating it. And yeah, this is the Society of Jesus, you guys. Jesus is 74, and if you take the alphabetic order with numerology, Jesus is 11, the master number, just like how they'd put it in their language, synced up with their calendar on their system. Again, they got all this knowledge after the Crusades. All this knowledge brought back to the church, and it's obvious they put the knowledge to use. They built a system, and they're like, oh, this is how they do it down here? This is what's been working against us, huh? All right, let's try it out ourselves. And it looks like it's been working for them too. But yeah, Jesus, 74, with the alphabetic order 11. This ritual at the 11th hour, on the last day of the Virgin Mary's birthday, the mother of Jesus. I mean, you just think about it. You just think about that. And for the record, if you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, Jesus Christ 74. Science says Jesus' crucifixion's on April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year, when crucifix, God's son, Nazareth, all equal 93. They say the sun's 93 miles away. Jesus Christ, 146. Christianity's associated with Pisces. Pisces is associated with Neptune. Neptune has a 146-year orbit. John 14:6, maybe the most hated verse in the Bible by people who aren't Christians, because it essentially says if you don't believe in Jesus, you're a bad person. You're not going to the good place if you don't believe in Jesus. Nobody gets to the Father but through him. But there, Jesus Christ also 74, and then 151's the 36th prime, and 666 is the 36th triangular number, and then you can get into all the parallels with the morning stars, Jesus and Lucifer. Is Jesus a grand deception by the Catholic Church that's deceiving people every day with all kinds of lies that they create and say, believe or else, believe or you'll be punished, just like they did with their church and their religion? Man, people forget how the word of Christ has been spread all over the world at sword point. So, you guys can keep thinking that this is the absolute truth and all you need to do in the world is believe in this right here. I'll keep showing you every day the Society of Jesus runs this world and they got it all synced up with their Pope. And again, remind you that they changed the name Jesus because that wasn't even the name. Are you sure they didn't warp this name into something just much more sinister? Because how many people need to die in connection to 74? At the hands of the Society of Jesus. You know what I mean? How about the 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents dead on 7-4? And Jefferson and Adams dead on 7-4 together. The 2 founders that didn't like the Jesuits and were worried about them coming out of suppression. I wonder who killed them when they say all roads lead to Rome, huh? Who else could it have been in the nation's capital all full of Roman architecture that's been researching how to do shit just like this so they can blame it on Mother Nature? There's money to be made, man. There's money to be made in Morocco. Look at all those old buildings. We could put some new condos there. These guys are like, can't even count how much money they have. But they'd wipe out a new town for a few more pennies. So. Yeah. Again, just to go over the gematria of the ciphers. Earthquake 107 like Morocco, like everything we talked about in the beginning. Earthquake 44 like New Delhi, where they were just touching down for G20, like military. And by the way, the technology that was researched to potentially create earthquakes, HARP, it's another big 44. And the patent for HARP was on a date with 44 numerology for the record. August 11th, 1987. But earthquake, 163 to 38th prime. Again, this happened exactly 38 weeks into the Pope's age. Crusades for the Pope. 99% Muslim country. 38th prime, not a nice number. Death 38, like murder, like killing, like RIP. And then earthquake, again, 44-55 in the same ciphers as military. Just like how Russia-Ukraine kicked off on the 55th day of the year, February 24th, the official military action, and then synced up with Zelensky's 44th birthday. Military 109, like the American Revolution on the 109th day of the year, the day in history that Ignatius Loyola was recognized as the first superior general of the Jesuit order. Military 107, again, 9/11 on the 107th mayor's 107th day of his age, Rudy Giuliani, only for us to invade Afghanistan on 10/7. Again, this is the system. These are the ciphers they use. You pay attention, you'll see these numbers show up way too much in these exact type of stories that are always just so coincidental. And, you know, the Turkey thing, if you forget the Turkey earthquake, well, here, I'll make a point about this too. Remember, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. And again, check this out right here. Where Illuminati's 120, that's the 15th triangular number. They were founded on the first day of the 5th month, like 1-5. Illuminati's also 150 in reverse, like how the sun's 150 million kilometers away on average. But notice how Satanism is also 120. And again, they're saying the worst earthquake in 120 years. Satan does also have that gematria 55, like military and earthquake. And What do they say about the Knights Templar, right? The Knights Templar were supposedly worshiping the satanic symbol Baphomet. So we're talking Templars, Jesuits, secret societies, unclear history. King of France burning the Templars at the stake on Friday the 13th for worshiping Baphomet. Yeah, for the record, you see how Baphomet has the 35 in it? Just like Satan has the 35 in it. Just like how Catholic has the 35 in it. Just like how Holy See has the 35 in it in Europe, which they used to rule over. And again, so does Morocco. So, just the way the numbers come together. But, yeah, again, until the world learns this isn't conspiracy theory and this is what's going on, this is going to continue to happen. Because the day the world learns this is happening, there'll probably be enough people who've been impacted in the world to actually do something serious. I mean, how many people today, if they realize that their lives were destroyed, their home, their business, were, family, friends, they find out that that wasn't Mother Nature and that this is exactly what I'm saying it is? The Jesuit world order? Again, you guys, it's so blatant. I mean, this is super Catholic day in a super Muslim country. I mean, it's just so obvious. And again, I mean, you look at all the people that attack me online. They mostly come from the camp of they think they're awake. They were the ones that voted for Trump. Trump was going to save us. He was one of the white hats. They really still believe in their religion a lot. Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of my critics, they also don't like Muslim people. I mean, you just see these people aren't awake. They think they're awake because they see the biblical rituals taking place, but they don't realize how it's being manipulated. They think it's the signs that their religion's right. And again, that's all part of the game too. So pretty much what I'm saying is all my haters are just not very intelligent people. They can't see the forest for the trees. Might sound arrogant, but they can admit that I'm right. Been right dead on. And by the way, just a reminder about this day, since this is the day the United States of America was named in history. United States of America 132, just like Roman Catholic, just like Catholic Church, just like England. Big number 132, 132 rooms in the White House. But remember, from May 1st, 1776, the founding of the Illuminati, to today, September 9th, is a span of 132 days. So who do you think really named the country on 9-9? Especially when May 1st, 1776 had 99 date numerology. Then they named the country on 9-9. 13, when you write it out as the words 99, like the 13 stripes, 13 colonies, what they just did in Hawaii 13 days before the state's birthday when it was overthrown by the Committee of 13. This Hurricane Lee. Remember, Lee's 13th named storm. They said it just made all this huge combustion of energy, this record surge in storm from Category 1 to Category 5. And again, that happened on 9/7, and we talked about that. But they said yesterday that energy was dissipating. And again, I mean, is this what they figured out with the military technology? Like the HARP idea was to concentrate energy in one place, to bounce it off the ionosphere, to get it to another place. I mean, is there a mathematical connection where they can harness a whole bunch of energy in the ocean and then shoot that like a weapon that moves and lands in a Morocco? I don't know how long it takes. I don't know. I'm asking the question. They've been doing some kind of research. I haven't been doing the research. I've just been hearing these vague things from growing up in this world and what they tell us in school and sometimes on the news, just paying attention. Now, growing up and learning things and being like, okay, I think the experiments, I think they figured out some things. I think they told us they were working on these things, but they didn't tell us exactly what conclusions they came to and what they solved and figured out. But I guess we're kind of looking at how it plays out and how specific it is. I mean, they can make it hit on the right day at the 11th hour, in the right place, synced up with the right establishment date. How long have they been mapping it all out for? Well, like I said, I mean, Morocco's been a country for... Morocco became a country by the numbers in the time that they were testing out these bombs underground. And I mean, 1956, we were all around, the CIA overthrew Iran around that time. We've been in this region of the world. We've been all over there, Africa, Middle East, everywhere. We've been everywhere. So all of this stuff is theoretically possible. They could have had a bomb planted in the ground for that long. That's how sick it is to think about. They could have had this bomb in the ground, since Henry Kissinger was a young man. He's just waiting to hit the useless eater button for Morocco. Henry Kissinger's, sipping the finest wine, eating the finest foods. He's like 100 years old. He's just been flipping switches his whole life. When's Jesus going to come down and punish Henry Kissinger? Santa Claus, he's going to fill up your stockings this year too. Easter Bunny, right behind him. Same numbers on all these things. The movie Casablanca is in Morocco. Casablanca is in Morocco. I've actually never seen this movie, but I'm sure you've heard of it just like I have. It's one of the most famous movies ever made. I was just reading a little quick caption here of what it's about. It says, Casablanca revolves around a nightclub run by cynical American expat Rick Blaine, where resistance fighters, immigrants, and Nazis converge to police or partake in an illicit economy. Oh man, that's all. I'd love to see the movie too. There might be more in there, but think about it. This G20 is all about economies. Again, coming together to solve problems, make profits. I'm sure G20, they got some great ideas for Morocco. They probably had already scoped exactly what they had planned for it. They probably can't wait to get everything in motion and just start raking in the new Morocco dollars. Well done. The sheeple still don't have a clue. We're almost at 2025, the full takeover. Yeah, they're still using the phrase conspiracy theories where the people have got us figured out. I mean, that's how it is to be these people. Look at these morons we created. We couldn't have scripted it any better. But, yeah, I think we hit all the main points. I wrote some more stuff down on the actual post, but, just how hot that 60 number is. This earthquake happened on a date with 60 numerology, and the leader of the country's 60 right now. I noticed he was born, he has the same birthday as Hawaii. Mohammed VI, the leader of Morocco, has the August 21st birthday, the same day Biden spoke in Hawaii. Born in the year JFK was assassinated. I find that interesting. Again, we go from Maui to Morocco, you know what I mean? Marrakech, no less. double M. M the 13th letter. 13 families with the Illuminati. 13 stripes, 13 colonies. This happened late last night. It's the big focus today on September 9th. California statehood birthday. And again, remember they stayed in California. The Jesuit Gavin Newsom just declared the Hurricane Hillary state emergency on Bill Clinton's birthday. Another Jesuit. Jokes on top of jokes. We just said what they did with Hurricane Lee. And that Hurricane Lee, actually, now that I think about it, they said the energy went way up on September 7th, right? 9/7. Or the date written 7/9. And then, hard to say where all the energy went, but is it some kind of transference? It's just like the day 9/11, the day the buildings were turned to dust. Hurricane Erin was at sea in the Atlantic just outside of New York, but it never made landfall. They said a pretty good sized hurricane outside of New York the day of 9/11. So, again, Hurricane Lee had the crazy day on the 7th day of the 9th month, and then this is the very next day. I don't know how long it takes to transfer like a huge sum of energy. Have they figured out a way to do it? Create a huge sum of energy here, and then have it boom here. Some moron who's watched this video, their only comment will be, "There's no such thing as nuclear bombs." Okay. Are these robots? Are these people robots that just go around leaving these comments? They never write in a sentence after that. They don't say there's no such thing as nuclear bombs because blah, blah. That's never there. It's just... Anyway. And it's a besides the point argument. Again, the argument is how sophisticated have they gotten with their weapons? We know that they're sophisticated. They're technologically advanced, these people. Look at the technology we're allowed to use. Can you explain the computer, the smartphone, any of this stuff? No, but we have it. Probably can't even explain how a record works. Technology's been advanced. It's just super advanced now. And dangerous people have it. And liars have it. And anyway, they had to, the ministry also had to put out that 721 people are in critical condition. Hey, tell me what movie came out on 721 this year. Was there one about Oppenheimer who made the big bomb? Very specific how many people are in critical condition. Numbers are suspect all over the place. So, all right. Anyway, I got to get back on my grind too. Lots of work to do today. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to congrats to the winners. Cover the October 4th FEMA test alert. That's the day leaving 88 days left in the year, isn't it? Hold on. Yeah, that is the day leaving 88 days left in the year. You might want to look into that after what just happened in Maui in 8-8. That 10-4 is the 104th NFL season kicks off. First guy to score the touchdown the first season with the 104 name. That was in yesterday's video. But yeah, I'll look more into it. Shout out to John Mendoza, as always. Thank you again, John. And shout out to Chris again. Chris, always generous. If you measure from September 10th to Steve McMichael's upcoming 66th birthday, October 17th, it's 38 days, including the end date. I guess the one thing you got to know is who Steve McMichael is. Who's Steve McMichael? Oh, former football player. Okay, Chris is in Chicago, so he knows the Chicago Bears. Okay. He played for the Patriots and the Bears, the teams that met in the Super Bowl. Interesting. And the Packers. His birthday is the day leaving 75 days left in the year. Okay, I'll have to think about why. Something must be going on with this guy that I don't know about, but I appreciate it. All right, I got to get back on the grind for all the sports people. We will be streaming on Patreon, talking the NFL week. And again, you might not be into sports, but hey, if you're into Gematria, learning about sports and testing the knowledge with sports is actually one of the best ways to get good at decoding, because it'll show you what decodes are worthless, like what kind of information you're looking at might not matter, and what does matter. The same stuff they do with the sports is the same stuff they do with the news. A la why the 1989 World Series earthquake was such a perfect ritual. Because again, the as crazy as it is, there is an Illuminati, and they got a lot of things planned out, and people better wake up to it. Otherwise, they might be the next victims. Thank you as well. Willius19 just got here, so I missed the beginning. We had an earthquake here in Toronto, albeit minor, in 2010, just as the G20 summit was about to begin. Wow. Huh. I got to go back and look into that. I'm glad you got here late. I appreciate your generosity. And what do you know? That could have been a pattern we've been missing this whole time. One more thing I'll say about the G20, you guys. I mean, you do it. You turn it in letters into numbers, right? G is 7, so 720. Kind of reminds you of the 201st day of the year, right? 201, arguably the most important Jesuit and Illuminati number. That's why the first Jesuit Pope lives in Suite 201. So we know where 201 goes with the history of weather and Mother Nature warfare, if you will. Things blamed on Mother Nature that aren't. But yeah, that's one we got to look into. I appreciate that. All right, True Seeker. I'll see the rest of you later on Patreon. And try to bring good calls if you're going to be part of that stream today. Until next time.